This video is going to help you with your exercise 1B, which is drawing the illustration found on problem 1-12 in your textbook. Kind of the trick here is to figure out how to start this project and to not be afraid to draw some construction lines, which I'll come back and erase at a later time. I'm going to start this project with the 30 millimeter diameter circle on the left hand side. So I'm going to start with the circle tool, and I'm going to start this circle somewhere in this area. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to use the diameter option, and I'm going to put in 30. And the next thing I'm going to do is draw a line from the center of that. Turn on my object snaps. Straight over, turn on ortho mode. Straight to the left, 20 millimeters. Okay, and that's where the end of the ellipse needs to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is start the ellipse tool. And it's going to go at the end point of this line, and it's going to go over 70 millimeters, and it's going to go up 25 millimeters. Okay, so I can erase this construction line. The next thing I'm going to do maybe is draw another construction line from the center of that circle straight to the right. 60 minus 20 is 40, so that'll find the other center of the other hole. And I'm going to draw another circle at the end of that line. So again, I'll use the diameter option, and that circle has a diameter of 10. So you can see it's progressing nicely. The next thing I might want to do would be to draw another line from the center of this smaller circle straight over out to the far right side, which would be 40 millimeters. And then I'm going to come down 15 millimeters. I'm going to go back to the left 10 millimeters, and I'm going to go back up 10 millimeters, and I'm just going to bring my line back in this way somewhere and stop it out here somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. So I've got kind of the lower half of the tail of the fish, if you will. The next thing I'd like to do is use the mirror tool to make the top half of this tail fin, if you will. So I'm going to pick on mirror. I'm going to select the objects that I want to mirror. I'm going to right click to advance the command. Watching my command line, it says to specify the first point of the mirror line. So I'm going to pick the end point of the center line, and I'm going to move straight to the other end of that line. Now AutoCAD is asking me if I want to erase the source objects. In this case, I want to say no. And notice that the N is in the angular bracket, so that's the default value. So if I press enter, we have that taken care of. And I'm going to extend this line up by left clicking on the upper grip. It turns red, and left click to place it there. I'm going to deselect that line by pressing the escape key. And so you can see it's really starting to come together. I'm going to use the trim tool to kind of trim up some things. I want to trim this piece of the ellipse out and this piece of these lines. So the trim tool is on the modify panel. AutoCAD asked me to select the cutting edges. So the cutting edges will be this ellipse, this line, and this line. So those are the only cutting edges. So I'm going to right click to advance the command, and then I select the pieces that I want to go away. Okay, right click to finish up the command. The next thing I want to do is to create this chamfer on the end back here on the back. It's called a chamfer with a flat edge. So chamfer and fillet are similar commands. Chamfer is hiding back here behind the fillet tool, so I'll use the drop down arrow, pick the chamfer tool, and notice that my distance are already set to 2 by 2, which is correct. If you needed to change that, you would use the distance option here. But we're in good shape, so I can simply select the two lines. So I pick this line and this line. I'm going to right click to advance to repeat the command, this line and that line. Now I'm going to place a couple more circles. I'm going to pick my circle tool, And for the first one, it's going to be the center point here. And I'm going to use a radius of 20 according to the drawing. And I'm going to place another one at the center point of the smaller circle. And it's going to have a radius of 10. I'm going to offset the ellipse using the offset tool, again on the modify panel, offset. AutoCAD asked me to specify the offset distance. In this case it's 5. So I'm going to type in 5 and press enter. I select the ellipse and I pick inside of the ellipse because I want the new offset ellipse to go inside the original. So I left click one time inside there. And so I have a little bit of cleanup to do here. So I'm going to pick the fillet tool. I'm going to make sure my radius is set to 2, which is what the drawing specifies. And I'm going to use the multiple option here so I can create multiple fillets. Create those 2 fillets. And I need to mirror, just like we did before, mirror these 2 fillets and this arc. So I pick the mirror tool, select those 2 radiuses, right mouse click to advance the command. The mirror line will be the same center line that we used before. And once again, I don't want to erase the original parts. I'm going to trim. My cutting edges will be my little fillets. I'm going to right click to advance the command, and then I'm going to pick the pieces of the circle that I want to go away. I now need to add a few more fillets, so I'm going to pick the fillet, and again my radius is set to 2, and again I'm going to use the multiple option to allow me to do multiple fillets at a time. So I pick these 2 lines, and I just make these little curves between these 2 segments. Okay. The next thing I'll have left, or the only thing I have left now, is the hexagon in the center of the circle. So we have a polygon tool, and the polygon tool is behind the rectangle tool, so we'll use the arrow to fly that out. We'll pick polygon and read our command line. So the command line says, ask us how many sides. In this case it's a hexagon, so there are 6 sides. I type the number 6 and press enter. The center of the polygon is going to be the center of the circle. And in this case, since the dimensions are given to us across the points of the hexagon, we're going to use inscribed. Had the dimensions been given across the flats of the polygon, we would use circumscribed. So that's the reasons between the 2 different options. So we're going to use inscribed, and I'm going to point my cursor straight down and type in the radius value, which would be 10. Now I'm not sure why it rotated on me, but the points on the drawing should be the other way, so this is a good opportunity to demonstrate the rotate command. So I'm going to pick the rotate tool off the modified toolbar. AutoCAD asks me to select the object to rotate. I left click my hexagon. The center point will be the base point for the rotation. And I can just point my cursor straight down, making sure that I'm not seeing any object snap symbols, and left click again, and the symbol's been rotated. So I can zoom in and out with my mouse wheel. I'm going to erase my center line construction lines, and my part is finished. So this is exactly what you need to do to finish that exercise. Hopefully it helps. If not, if you have more questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email. Thanks.